This is draft season. Thank you so much for joining us. All brought to you by Moody's, a proud sponsor of the New York Football Giants. I am John Schmelk. Thanks so much for being with us today, everybody. This is part two of our conversation with Tony Pauline and Dave Syvertsen. These were recorded on September 30th, pardon me. So just keep that in mind as we talk about and rank the top position groups in college football. So there might be a game or two that happened since we recorded this. So if you don't mention any late developments, that's why. Don't hold it against the guys. It's not their fault. I chose to hold this. It's a really good conversation, just talking about where the strength is in this year's draft class. So stay tuned. Check that out. Here's part two of our conversation. Myself, Tony Pauline from Sportskeeda, and Dave Syvertsen from OurLads.com. We're going to rank the position groups in this draft class. The way Tony decided to break these down, we have offensive line, obviously, offensive tackle, interior, offensive line, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. You have on your list, right, Tony?
Yep.
Correct. And then on defense, we have defensive line, off-ball linebackers, edge defenders, cornerbacks, and safety. So that's what we're going to take a look at here in this list. So we're going to go one by one. So we're going to start, Tony, your number one group, and then we're going to get size number one group, and we'll kind of go back and forth that way. I'll kind of be the, draft auctioneer here and make this work guy to guy. So, Tony, what is your top position group in this year's draft class?
I'm going to say offensive tackle. Even though my top guy, Xavier Chaplin's not playing that well, I think you got 13 to 14 potential top 100 picks. Right now, I've got potential first-round grades on 4 of those guys. We could see as many as 6 or 7 end up in the first round. Remember, offensive tackle is a priority position, and there are a lot of good potential left tackles here. We talked about Proctor. I mentioned Chaplin. Muaga of Miami of Florida, who is an athletic right tackle. So I talked about Spencer Fano, but it goes deeper than that. Fano's teammate, Caleb Lemo from Utah, Drew Shelton of Penn State. I like Ryan Baer of Pittsburgh. I think Evan Link of Michigan is an offensive lineman on the rise. Isaiah World, who we talked about, just a deep class and a lot of good pass blocking left tackles. Some good right side players in there as well. The kid from Arizona State, Ian Anchor, is a solid right tackle prospect. I just like the class. I think it's good at the top. I also think it's very deep.
All right, Cy, where do you have offensive tackle on your list?
Number 3, the first, and I agree that it's a high ceiling group. That's what I've been saying about the tackles since the summer. You can see the traits, you just don't see the consistency. If Proctor and these guys start really playing at a higher level down the stretch, this is where the tape, in my opinion, this is the tape that we're going to see over the next 2 months. This is the most important tape we're going to watch. And these guys got their feet wet. They're into the season now. They're into the routine. These next few weeks, the tackles can absolutely be the best group in this draft. But to me, the edge defenders in this class are just out of this world. It's not just top heavy. I mean, I might have 17 grades that are rounds 1, 2, 3 starters in the NFL at one position. You don't see that. You might see that for a defensive front like we did last year, but just edge defenders. The ascent of Ruben Bain from Miami, Joshua Joseph from Tennessee, David Bailey from Texas Tech, and TJ Parker from Clemson. He hasn't even played his best football yet. If he turns it on at some point, and Keldrick Fall from Auburn, if these guys really start reaching what we thought they were going to reach, you might see 8 edge defenders alone go in the first round.
Tony, they were your number 2 group. You like them too.
And I have 17 guys as day 1 or 2 picks. So, yeah, nice. I would agree. And they're bigger guys. They're guys who do a good job against the run. They're explosive. I think Falk and TJ Parker have not played up to expectations. If they really can turn on the Jets for the rest of the season, it's going to be some exceptional talent at the top, along with Ruben Bain. Cy mentioned Ugalele. I happen to like Danny Dennis-Sutton, although I wish he would really put a little more focus on the field rather than acting it out. But, yeah, it's deep, and there's some potential outstanding talent at the top.
All right, so that's Tony. You're 1 and 2. Cy, you're 1 and 3. What's your number 2 in this group?
The corners. I think the corners are
spicy.
A lot of upside. Yeah. And, I feel like we've forgot about Jermon McCoy from Tennessee a little bit. Torn ACL in January. He's not going to play this year, most likely. There are still rumors that he might try to make a late season comeback. That should be encouragement to Giants fans, by the way. These torn ACLs are not what you thought they were 10 years ago. They bounced back. He'll be back just fine. for the start of next season. Avion Terrell, one of my favorite football players to watch. Whether I don't love the lack of size, he might be limited to specific roles and schemes at the NFL, but he's going to be a player, a name that has really started to rise. From a few people I've talked to, he was on the radar prior to the year, but he did get benched last season. But this year, Jair Hill from Michigan. I mean, this kid's movement traits are off the chart. He tracks the ball exceptionally well. He's cleaning up the penalties. Speaking of cleaning up penalties, Davis Igbunason from Ohio State, great size. He's been on the radar for 2-3 years now. 16 penalties last year, only a couple this season. He's playing really good football since week 1 against Texas. I thought he really stood out in that game. And the Georgia kids, the LSU kids, just a lot of starting caliber corners with some superstar potential. I'm a huge fan of McCoy. I think if he checks out, if you erase the knee issue, which to me is not a big problem anymore, this is a top 10 corner. And I think Terrell plays like a top 10 corner as well. He just might not meet the size requirements some teams have.
All right, Tony, you have corner at 5 on your board. Why do you maybe have them a little bit lower than Cy?
Well, I mean, how many first-round corners we're going to get out of the draft? And it's not just about the first round. I understand that. I like day 2, Mansour Delane. I have Jair Hill as a third-rounder based off of last year's film. I have McCoy because of the injury as a third-rounder. The Ohio State kid, I want to see more of him because he was phenomenal as a freshman. His game is kind of leveled off. He is playing well. I like the depth. I just don't see there's a lot of star power. I just don't see, offensive tackles, defensive linemen, cornerbacks are what teams really, those are the priority positions come draft day. I don't see a lot of first-round corners in this year's draft.
All right, Tony, what is your third group on your list?
I know it's not a priority come draft weekend anymore, but I love this off-ball linebacker group. These guys that can play in space, the Harold Perkins, the Anthony Hills. We mentioned C.J. Allen before, Deontay Lawson, the 2 kids from Ohio State, Sonny Siles and Avril Reese, Wade Woodaz of Clemson, who I think is just woefully underrated. It goes on and on and on. It's not a priority come draft day, but I just think there's great talent, good talent at the top. And it's a deep group, especially to what we've seen in the past couple of drafts, probably the past 5 or 6 drafts.
Cy, where do you have off-ball linebackers on your list?
I have them at 4. So I'm
Nice.
kind of in this like same church, different pew type where C.J. Allen, Reese, Styles, Hill, Arion Carter, Torian York, who is my most underrated linebacker, the guy that just he's probably the best run defending linebacker in the class, a little tight in space, so I'm not going to put a round 1 grade on him. The Perkins brothers, even though they're not brothers, they're just such similar players, similar last names, similar usage. There are certain guys here that need to be put into specific roles. But in regard to linebackers not being drafted high in recent years, I just think the classes have not been good. I mean, these guys right now are going to grade out. I mean, there's 5 or 6 guys in this class that would probably been the number 2 or number 3 linebacker or top 3 linebacker in the past 5 draft classes. And I believe that we see in the NFL right now that the lack of ability at linebacker, it's a very tough position to play now with the way the game is changing with the short passing game and quarterbacks getting the ball out and tight ends being wide receiver caliber athletes. It's a tough spot to play. But I think it's just the prospects that have come out lately have not been very, very good. This group is as talented as we've seen. And I think you're going to see maybe not a ton of first rounders, but you are going to see a ton of first and second rounders.
And I think the reason is because, oftentimes your better or best athletes on defense are used as pass rushers. They're used up at the line of scrimmage and they're sent after the quarterback. They're not asked to, make plays in reverse or to cover a lot of area. That seems to be changing.
All right, so let's review very quickly. Tony, we have your top 3 are offensive tackle, edge rushers, off ball. And Cy, what are your top 4, I believe we've gotten to already?
Edge, corner, offensive tackle, linebacker.
And linebacker was 4. So, Tony, what is number 4 for you on your list?
Running back. I like the class. I don't love the class. I think there's a lot of potential here. C.J. Baxter of Texas, if he can stay healthy. Jeremiah Love. The Jeremiah Love we saw last week against Arkansas, if he plays like that every week, he's a top 20 pick. But it's kind of hit and miss with Jeremiah Love, oftentimes because they're only giving him the ball 6 to 8 times a game. But when he's on his game, he's unstoppable. Justice Haynes, can he take it to the next level like he's done so far the first 4 games of the year? The two kids from Penn State. I like Darius Taylor of Minnesota, although he's injured now. A lot of talent here. I don't know that we have a knockout prospect as we've had the past couple of drafts. A guy that's going to be top 15. I think we do have that potential, but I think there's a lot of good players that can be used as rotational players, maybe develop into feature runners, really through the fourth round on my board right now.
All right, Cy, where do you have running backs on your list?
I actually have them seventh, next to last. And it's not a dislike. I like Jeremiah Love. I think he's a first round caliber prospect. He's got a great teammate in Jadarian Price. That's part of the reason why Love's not getting as many touches as we might see. He might be a top 5 running back in this group. But after that first running back, after Love, I don't know if I see any first rounders. I don't see the Omarion Hampton. I don't see Quinshad Junkins, Trevion Henderson. I see guys that I'm comfortable taking. Ideally in the third, maybe I'd reach for him in the second. Justice Haynes is right now, I mean, he's in the Heisman running with what he's doing with his production. Again, if he keeps this up as the schedule starts to get tougher, we'll really start talking about him. Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, to me, a great 1-2 punch for a college team. But to me, it's, again, circle back to this Penn State mantra. It's just a little underwhelming. They don't have that extra bite to them that makes me want to say, hey, I'm going to forego an offensive lineman or a corner or a wide receiver day 2 because I like this guy that much. These guys I just don't think there's a lot of separation between the third and fourth running backs and the 12th and 13th running backs.
All right, Cy, so who is your 5th position group on your list?
So number 5 would be the tight ends. And it's because they have a superstar, in my opinion, at the top in Kenyon Sadiq, who is a Brock Bowers caliber guy. I'm still very in on Max Clare. He hasn't done much so far early in the year. They just have not given him any looks. I mean, I think I was just trying to find the number. I think they've thrown him the ball 9 times in 4 games. And his tape last year at Purdue was dynamite. And if you remember, the Ohio State coaches, they asked their players, hey, I mean, ultimately, who should we go after in the transfer portal? And all of them said Max Clare was the best tight end that they faced in 2024. So I think as the season progresses, you're going to see his production spike up a little bit. Same thing with Jack Endries from Texas, a transfer from Cal. Again, tape from last year, really impressive. A name that is on the radar. He almost came out last year. Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. Watch him against Alabama this upcoming weekend. An Evan Engram caliber athlete and pass catcher. Also an Evan Engram caliber blocker when he's just going to get tossed around in the trenches. But those are guys that I think can be top 45 picks. And you put 4 top 45 picks at that position, that's a really strong and rare group. But they don't have a Tyler Warren type.
So, Tony, it's funny. You and Cy seem to have running backs and tight ends kind of swapped with your group. Because you have the same tight ends on your list, by the way, but you just have them a little bit further down.
Because I have them rated lower. I mean, Kenyon Sadiq, maybe he takes off from here, but I think the rest of the tight ends are maybe late day 2 picks. I mean, I like Eli Stowers, the New Mexico State transfer who did well at Vanderbilt last year, went back on a nice NIL deal. The production isn't great there. I like Endries a lot. We talked about Endries.
We did.
The first week between Texas and Ohio State. I've had him on my radar in my database since he was a redshirt freshman at Cal, but the production isn't there. I like Terrence Carter, the Louisiana transfer, who was at Texas Tech, a real good athlete, real good pass catcher. One guy to keep an eye on, Tanner Koziel, the Ball State transfer who's playing at Houston right now, 6'6", 251 pounds. Had a great game. Who did they play Friday? It wasn't Oklahoma State. They went to overtime. They lost. They won, I think, Houston.
Utah, BY. No, Houston. I'm sorry. I thought you meant Texas Tech. My bad.
No, Houston.
Yes.
Had like 6 catches. He's a guy to keep an eye on. I like the class. Maybe Sadiq is able to separate himself. I just don't. I think these guys are going to take a little while. I see a lot of Jeremy Ruckerts, in this group, guys who, have the potential to develop, but there's no guarantee. Would just like to see more production from them on the football field. And granted, that could be a symptom of an offense that doesn't throw the ball to the tight ends often.
All right, Tony. So who's your number 6 position group on your list?
I'm going to go. I think we talked about the cornerbacks.
Yes.
I'm going to go with the receivers. I'm just not a fan of this receiver class. Maybe because we've been so spoiled in recent years with such great receiver classes. Excuse me, but I mean, who's receiver number 1? Antonio Williams. He's a little bit smaller. He's been injured this year. Carnell Tate. He's done well, but he's obviously been overshadowed by Jeremiah Smith, who's going to be very likely a top 3 pick in 2027. Deion Burks, Denzel Boss. A lot of these guys are kind of the same. No one has separated themselves. And I don't know how many first-round picks we're going to get out of the receiver position next April. I don't know how many top 100 picks we're going to get out of the receiver position next April.
Cy, where do you have wide receivers?
Yeah, I've been locked in on the wide receiver group. It's one of my primary positions for our lads, and I agree with him. There's not a lot of standouts. I mean, I'll tell you what, some of the recent wide receivers that we've seen come out of college football, I don't know if any of the wide receivers in this class would break their top 3s. I mean, Jordan Tyson is a fun player. Mekhi Lemon, who I did have a mid-first round grade on coming into the year, he is starting to heat up. At the end of the day, he is limited. It looks like he's probably going to be a slot only, and I'm not anti-slot only receivers. They just tend to fall a little bit on draft weekend, but fun player to watch.
Yeah, I like Lemon too. He's a good player.
Yeah, very fun, a winning football player to me. So if he gets put in the right situation, New York Giants could use a guy like him next year if that slot opens up, if Wan'Dale leaves in free agency. But the name that could save this group, the savior of the 2026 wide receivers, is Chris Brazell from Tennessee. This kid has started off on fire. About 6'4.5", 205. Your typical simple route. I run 2 or 3 routes. I line up in the same spot, Tennessee wide receiver. But he's been mossing guys this year. I mean, he had a play called back by an offensive pass interference, a bogus call, by the way, this past weekend at Mississippi State, I think they were at. And it was a play that was like, wow, if that one stood, that's the play that we would have been watching leading up to the draft process. He gets behind, he's very vertical, he gets up and he catches the ball with his hands. That's the trait that I want to see from these guys that maybe aren't the most physical or the best after the catch, but they attack the ball with their hands. So that's the one guy. If he keeps up what he's doing right now, A, first team All-American, B, he could be a top 15 pick next year.
Draft season is presented by Moody's, a proud partner of the New York Giants. Decode risk, unlock opportunity. Learn more at Moody's.com. So where do you have wide receivers? Go ahead,
Dante Thornton. I mean, he's tall like Dante Thornton. Yep. He's sneaky fast like Dante Thornton. I like him. I just want to see, a bigger body of work more from him. But I agree with you. He was a riser for me at Sports Skeet. I think it was 2 weeks ago after that performance against Georgia.
That offense has not been putting a lot of real sustainable talent into the NFL. I think that's one concern that we have with people that come from that offense right now.
100%. And Cy, so where were wide receivers for you? Were they 8, you said?
They were 8th, yeah. My six was the quarterback position.
All right, go for it. Yeah,
the quarterbacks to me, I came into this year saying it could absolutely be better than what we had last year. You basically had the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward, and then the Giants trade up for Jackson Dart, and then you had the whole tornado of Shadur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel and Jalen Milroe, right? I still think this quarterback class will be better than last year, but one of these guys needs to step up. That preseason, I really had that outlook on. It could be Lenore Sellers. If you put a gun to my head right now and say, you need to pick someone today for the future, Sellers will be that guy, even though the dude, he's taken, I think the last time I checked, I think he's taken 7 sacks of 10 plus yards, and they're his fault. He's running backwards. Oh, wow. There's just a lot of rawness to him as a pocket passer, but there's also a tool set to him that is incredibly rare. Tools aren't what you only want to pursue at the quarterback position. We know that. Anthony Richardson says hello, by the way. So what we need to do at quarterback over these this is the game. Again, guys, October, November, Garrett Nussmeier, you're still alive, but you're hanging on by a thread. That's the number 1 name that I think can really make a name for himself. I'm out on Drew Allard. Dante Moore will be draft eligible. I do think he'll probably return. I mean, Oregon pays more money than pretty much any rookie contract you're going to get out there. But the name that has risen, there's 2 of them. One of them is Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, a transfer from Cal. I don't think he's thrown an interception yet. He isn't lighting it on fire when it comes to NFL caliber throws, but he doesn't make mistakes, and he's played in some tough games, and I think his schedule is going to get a little bit tougher in the near future as well. But the other name to me that has stood out is John Mateer from Oklahoma. There's something about him that I can't get away from. He's injured right now. I think he had a surgery on his throwing hand, which is going to keep him out for about a month. But he's not a round one guy. I don't know if he's a round two guy, but to me, beyond the first round, this class looks like it's going to be a lot deeper than last year, but I don't know if there's that top heavy guy yet.
And Tony, you
Yeah.
had quarterbacks at 7, so you guys are kind of on the same page here.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lenore Sells from the get-go. We talked about him before. I put out a tweet in August. I said if the draft was held now, he's my first pick. Yeah, he needs he needs work on his game and some of the nuances of the quarterback position. I would agree. I mean, we spoke about Mendoza last week, coming off of the Illinois game. He's winning. He did throw his first interception last week against Iowa, and he hasn't made a lot of tough NFL passes because he hasn't had to. You see the 49-yard touchdown pass to Elijah Surratt, which won the game for Indiana when they came back. You think, wow, he threw the ball downfield. No, it was a 5-yard crossing pattern where Elijah Surratt broke the tackle and then ran 40 yards. So, but he's getting better and he's getting good coaching. So I think he's going to, he will rise. He could potentially be a first-round pick. I like Mateer. It's sad about the injury, but I like the potential, but there's so many questions. If there's a guy that I think could really rise up through the draft process, it would be Taylon Green of Arkansas. Big, athletic, can make all the throws, can beat your opponents with their feet. You talk about Anthony Richardson. Taylon Green's done a better job winning games, although they've struggled this year. The coach just got fired. He's a bit more accurate than Anthony Richardson. He's not going to be drafted as early as Anthony Richardson, but I think he's a guy that people will talk about as a potential second-round pick, a toolsy guy with a lot there to develop.
All right, so we've gone through the top 7 groups for both of you guys now, but 7 was cornerbacks for you, right, Si, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
4,
Yes.
6, yeah. Quarterbacks were 6 for me. Sorry.
No, that's fine. And cornerbacks came in at 7, right? Corners?
Quarters were second. Correct.
Perfect. All right. So, Tony, your 7th group is defensive tackle, correct?
My 7th group is quarterbacks. My
8th group is defensive tackle. Sorry, yes. Go ahead.
Tackle, right. And I think this is just a down year. I mean, Peter Woods has not lived up to expectations. I know a lot of people like him. Anthony Smith, he's played well at Minnesota. Is he a first-round pick? I mean, I just see at a position where teams really covet the top players and want to take these guys in the first round. I don't know that we have any guaranteed first-rounders right now. I think it's more day 2 guys, potentially bottom half of day 2 guys, fourth-round guys, some zero technique, nose tackles, some guys that can play a defensive end in a 2-gap system. I just don't see any single player really dominate or players really dominating. In my opinion, it's an off year for defensive tackle.
Si, where do you have defensive tackles check in for you?
Same exact spot, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spot, right behind the quarterbacks. And I really think what took a hit here is Peter Woods has just not been a star. He just hasn't. He's got 4 pressures this year. I mean, that entire Clemson team has been underwhelming. T.J. Parker and Peter Woods and Cade Klubnik, all these guys have just not lived up to the hype. Early in the year, there's still some hope, but beyond Peter Woods, I'm not really sure what gets you excited. I mean, I loved Zane Durant. He's a guy that I want to kind of put my name on entering the year, but he's been terrible this year. And I'll tell you what, his run defense tape against Oregon is scary bad. I mean, the guy, he's a great athlete. He shows a lot of his Minnesota tape from last year, something that could get anybody excited. And you start thinking about Kalijah Kancey, but he's been bad this year. There's no way around it. I mean, I think the best defensive tackle I've seen has been Dominique Orange from Iowa State. And again, he's a day 2 nose tackle type. Right. I mean, a guy that just doesn't impact the pass game. I don't know where we have Ahmad Moten from Miami, Ruben Bain's teammate. He's kind of like an inside-out threat. If you want to make him a 3-tech, I think there's some potential there. But, you're going to come back to the guys we've talked about, Caden McDonald and the kid from Oregon, Amari Washington, as guys that, hey, they have NFL bodies. They are NFL defensive linemen. They're just young and early to the game, but if they reach their upside, then maybe they could save the group. So that's what this position group is really kind of hanging their hat on right now, is hopefully these juniors step up.
All right, who do you have in number 8 in your position group, Si?
Safety. That's where, they have probably one of the top 5 players in the draft in Caleb Downs. I haven't met a person yet that does not like him. But there are a couple other pieces of that group that I like. It's just, to me, like usual at safety, it just kind of falls off after the top 2 or 3 guys. I like Dylan Linneman from Oregon, hit the game-winning interception the other day. Just a really hot, talented player, smart, savvy, can play in the box. He can play in deep coverage. Kamari Ramsey is another versatile piece that can play a Brian Branch type role at the next level. But after those guys, I mean, I like Jalen Kilgore on the upside. He played some outside corner. He's an elite athlete himself, 6'1", 211, off to a decent start this year. But again, I don't know if I really am projecting a lot of these guys to be starters at the next level. And to me, you're talking about round 4 when I bring that up. So do we only have 3 or 4 safeties that can be drafted in the first 3 rounds? It's possible.
Yeah.
And Tony, safety's the next group for you too.
Yeah, it is. It's Caleb Downs and everybody else. I mean, Caleb Downs is probably going to be, if not the top athlete, the top player for the 2026 draft. He'll be a top 3 player. Amazing, huh? Ohio State could have the best player in the draft in 2026, and then Jeremiah Smith, the best player in the draft in 2027. But it falls off a cliff after that. I mean, I like Keon Saab, but I like him in the 3rd round. Mari Farrell, Indiana, I like him in the 3rd round. Michigan's got 2 safeties, and TJ Metcalf, the Arkansas transfer, and Rod Moore when he's healthy. He's struggled staying healthy. 3rd round. It's Caleb Downs and everybody else. And everybody else, as far as I'm concerned, really falls off the cliff after that.
All right, and then it leaves one position group for both of you that checks in last place, and that is the interior offensive line. Cy, why don't we lead off with you?
I mean, it's always a little unfair sometimes to talk about the interior offensive line because so many of these tackles get moved inside in the pre-draft process, and that's always something that we could just kind of debate back and forth. But guys that are just exclusively playing center and guard right now, I don't see any first-round picks. I might see 3 day 2 picks, not including the tackle to guard converts. And to me, that's the sweet spot to draft interior offensive linemen. It's in that round 2, 3 area. And, you know, right now, my number one guy is an underclassman that I'm not even sure if he's going to come out. It's the kid from Texas A&M, Chase Besantis. He's actually a North Jersey kid, by the way. Went to Don Bosco. And he's played some tackle. He's played some guard, great body control. But again, his tape this year has been a little disappointing. They have a guard on the other side of the line, Adams, who I think can be probably actually great up higher, just a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. The centers, you know, I love the kid from Iowa, Logan Jones, but I have to be honest about it. He's a round 3, round 4 type guy at best. I think the kid from Alabama, Brailsford, is just way too small. Connor Lew from Auburn has had some bad tape against his best competition this year. I don't like the kid from Florida. A lot of people do. So that group to me, I don't know if I see without the tackle converts more than 3 starters.
Yeah, and I think the tackle convert who could make a move in this draft would be Brian Parker of Duke, who I'm told is likely to come out. I have him at guard. People think center at the next level, but that's a guy to watch. And I agree. I mean, Jaden Roberts is my number 1 interior lineman, and he's got a mid-3rd round grade. Yep. I know a lot of people are in love with Connor Lew. I don't see Connor Lew as a first-round pick. I'm sorry, yep. I don't. I have DeSantis up there as a top 4 player at the position. Logan Jones is small. You mentioned Brailsford being small. Chester of LSU, who I like coming into the season, he's kind of fallen off the map there. So it's not a good pure interior offensive line class for next year.
All right, guys. I didn't put this on the rundown, so I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Not a ton of huge matchups this week in college football, but I'll give both of you a chance, and I'll throw a couple games out there. Alabama, Vanderbilt, 2 top 20 programs going up against each other. That's an interesting game. And the other big one, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, I guess. 4-1 team, 4-0 team, and then Miami, Florida. Those are 3 games that stick out to me. Texas Tech, Houston. You mentioned Houston. Tony has been playing well. Texas Tech's been playing well too. Anything this week, folks, that you think we should be keeping an eye on if you're a big draft fan or college football fan for guys to keep an eye on? Tony, we'll start with you.
Texas, Florida. I mean, you know, Arch Manning's getting booed at Texas, and Florida, they may be looking for a new coach real soon. But,
wait, time out. Arch Manning got booed this week? Did that happen? I missed that. Chase.
He got booed. The home crowd was booing him. Yeah.
That's where we are now, huh? All right.
Exactly. So I mean, can Arch Manning exploit that Florida defense? They've got some good players up front. We'll see if that can happen. You mentioned the Texas Tech Houston game. Watch the tight ends, Koziel of Houston and Terrence Carter of Texas Tech. Those teams like to put the ball in the air. That should be very exciting. Ohio State, Minnesota. Minnesota's not having a good year, but they've got some good prospects. I mentioned Anthony Smith, the defensive lineman. I don't know if Darius Taylor, the running back, is coming back, but if he does, that'll be a good matchup to watch.
How about you, Cy?
I mean, you remember what happened last year at Vanderbilt. That loss
Yeah.
that Alabama took, it kind of just derailed the entire season. And I'm really curious to see some of these underachievers on Alabama. Uh, do they how competitive are they? They should wipe the floor against them. They should win by 3 touchdowns minimum. And I want to see some competitive fire. That's what Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama that got drafted in the first round by Dallas. He is injured right now. That was a key selling point to his scouting report last year. A key reason why Dallas drafted him. He's kind of like the alpha of the room, the leader. And he was a guy that just an old school blue collar football player. I want to see some competitive nature from linebacker Deontay Lawson. I want to see LT Overton get more than a couple pressures in the game, but also equally strong test for Eli Stowers, the tight end from Vanderbilt, in a group where after the top guy, that the number 2, number 3 spots in that tight end group are wide open. Texas A&M's got 3, maybe 4 draftable offensive linemen. The Mississippi State defense has been quietly pretty effective up front. They have a tight end that's off their radar as well. I think his last name is Chor, a guy from overseas, does not have a lot of football experience like some of these guys do growing up, and he's a really interesting body type, movement style, actually kind of like a JV level of Sadiq, to be honest with you. Those are the guys I'll be watching this upcoming week. But at any point, one thing I love about the draft process is you could turn on any game at any moment and look for something. It doesn't always have to be the top guys. You can look for, hey, who do you think are going to be the next top undrafted free agents next year? That's why this process never sleeps.
So
And that Vanderbilt offense, they're feisty. You mentioned Stowers, as you should. Cedric Alexander, the running back, he's a good player. Diego Pavia is lighting it up. What is he? Isn't he like an 7th-year senior? He won the court battle to get his eligibility back.
Diego Pavia is like older than half the starters in the NFL, I think.
Yeah, I think he's older than us.
He's a good quarterback. I mean, he's a playmaking quarterback. So that's going to be a big test for Alabama, as Cy points out.
All right, guys. Cy, before we say goodbye, tell the folks everything you guys are doing at Our Lads, what you'll find at ourlads.com. To Tony's point, I print out the depth chart every week when I get ready for the Giants opponent. It's invaluable. Just tell the folks everything you're doing with that, and, of course, all your draft stuff.
Yeah, the at ourlads_Cy is my personal handle on X. Ourlads.com is the website that we all know to go to for the depth charts. And I'll tell you what, in this world that we live in, if those ads are bothering you, that those pop-up ads, we have an Ourlads insider account that gets you the ad-free version of the website. Very cheap, very nice way to support the business as well. And I'll tell you what, I have a couple of big names in media using that right now, the ad-free version. They said it's just night and day different, how much easier and how much better it is to use. So if you guys are on it every day, the price, it's $25, $2 a month. It's a pretty easy, less than a couple Starbucks coffees there. So that would be something, a really great investment. We have a free newsletter that goes out Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays is more draft focused. Thursdays is more NFL focused. You can subscribe for free at ourlads.com. And we have our first initial top 32 coming out in a couple of weeks. We have a draft preview guide that you could sign up for on the website as well. But if you just want, the big guy that comes out every spring, you guys can sign up for that on the website right now.
And they still do a hard copy version, folks. If you want it in your hands, they print it and they send it. No one else does that anymore. So
got to do it.
Make sure you guys go check that out. Tony, what do you have going on at Sportskeeda?
Oh, we got the risers and sliders. Got some other news. We're going to I'll be doing a update on the top rookies in the NFL for both offense and defense. I tend to forget about these guys once they're out of the draft. Well, next week or so, we'll have our first big board up. Probably going to be about 250 to 300 players.
Oh, God bless you, Tony, putting those big boards together this early in the season. For Tony Pauling from Sportskeeda, for David Syvertsen from OurLads.com, I am John Schmelk. This was so long, I think I might split this into 2 episodes and take care of us for 2 weeks here on draft season. It's all brought to you by Moody's, a proud sponsor of the New York Football Giants, uniting the brightest minds. And I missed the copy and it went off the screen. Here we go. That's all the time we have for draft season, presented by Moody's, is a proud partner of the New York Giants, uniting the brightest minds to turn today's risks into tomorrow's opportunities. Learn more at Moody's.com. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you next time. Really good job. Part 2 of our conversation again, taking a look at the position groups in this year's draft. A very unsettled draft class. And, some of the great players, maybe not from premium positions, but again, it looks like an upfront type of class with offensive tackles and edge players being the stars of this year's group. We thank Tony Pauline from Sportskeeda. We thank Dave Syvertsen from OurLads.com. And again, go check out their website for the depth charts. First and foremost, they have a premium where you get rid of the ads, and they have their draft content, a couple of newsletters. You can check that on OurLads.com. Their draft guide comes out in the spring. We thank Dave. We thank Syvertsen. We thank Tony Pauline. I'm John Schmelk. That is draft season. We'll talk to you next time.